Hello, welcome back, and we're ready to get ourselves into Game 2 here at the ASUS ROG DreamLeague Season 3, Basically Unknown versus Vega Squadron. Game 1, of course, going arguably quite convincingly to Vega. It seemed like once they got the ball rolling, Basically Unknown just couldn't stop it. But first picks into the... Okay, all right, okay. I was going to say, let's go for Basically Unknown. They've got Relax back on his Earthshaker that's had a 100% win rate in this league play, but then I noticed Vega got Tiny IO, Andy.
It's kind of spooky. A little bit out of...
3 spooky finally.
I don't want to say the comfort zone of Vega, but something that we haven't seen them run too much. I think this is the first time I've seen them play Tiny at all.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they've run Wisp in the past. I believe Solo plays it most of the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Solo's the Wisp.
Yeah. So I know that they have run Wisp before. I just haven't seen them run Tiny IO, and I'm excited to see how well they do with it. I think if they can get their hands on something like a Beastmaster, on top of that, that combination is completely insane. So they'd already have push potential on lockdown just between those heroes. You've got a really solid offlane hero for Mag. They haven't banned it out in the second phase. They take out the Spirit Breaker. I really am expecting Beastmaster to come out here from Vega at some point.
I was surprised that they banned the Spirit Breaker over the Beastmaster, to be fair, because, I mean, we know how good Mag is on it. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't take it at this point, but maybe Vega does have reasons. Basically, no, there is no reason to not take it. And they take it because if it's there, why not grab it? Mag, I believe, it's just, as you said, every game we've seen Mag on the Beastmaster, I can't remember ever seeing him underperform.
No, he's always had a really solid game. That's kind of the scary thing is no matter what, like even if he's against a tri-lane or he's a 2v1, it doesn't matter. He always has his Necrobook timing. It's just he's going to get those items. So always one of the standout players in my opinion for Vega. And they did ban out the Clockwork and the Spirit Breaker. Those two heroes are very disruptive in their own way. Like Clockwork is great against Shaker, Witch Doctor, and Shadow Fiend because he can basically solo kill any of them, right? So if Mag has an okay game on either of those heroes, you kind of have the same kill potential on either. Spirit Breaker forces the engagement very hard, so does the Clockwork. Beastmaster is more of the control, where, yeah, you can jump in with a Blink Dagger after you have your book and you can roar somebody, but he's looking to kind of use his Hawk to give vision for the Tiny IO relocate and try to make sure that he can get his book up and contribute to push during the mid game. So I still feel like Basically Unknown's draft is more solid this game because they have the Witch Doctor against the Tiny IO, which can be very good if you get a good cast bounce when they relocate in. You get the Death Ward for damage, and obviously Shadow Fiend is one of the heroes that Arise plays very well and very often. And then Shaker, which this is the 3rd game, I think, out of 4 that Relax is going to be playing that hero.
And he's won the other 2 he's played in, so we can expect to see some good stuff from the Earthshaker. And it is, of course, going to definitely be that offlane hero. And now we see the 2 supports being picked up for BU. And they get themselves the Lion and the Witch Doctor. 2 supports, arguably one of the better pairings to have up against the lineup with IO, because you're always going to be able to deal with the big old bull.
You got a lot of disables against Tiny, and that means that he's going to want to buy BKB. Sure, that happens in pretty much every Tiny game, but making him buy it sooner rather than later is always better, because he can, instead of going like Aghanims into an attack speed item, you might see him just go Aghanim straight BKB. Then he's kind of lacking in attack speed, doesn't farm as fast. There's a lot of benefits to having the long disables, and Lion being able to stun on top of relocates can also be quite strong. It's a bit harder to do because you don't know exactly where the hero is coming in, and you just have to rely on instinct and just look at the minimap and hope that you land it. But if you throw it after a cask or a fissure, it's great. So I do like the lineup of Basically Unknown and Vega going with the farming Centaur. Okay, so I'm looking at possibly a Tiny IO mid.
Yeah.
And then Beastmaster 1v1, and then Centaur with a support. Now, Basically Unknown have a couple of options here. They can put the Witch Doctor or the Lion with Shadow Fiend for the beginning, which I think they will pretty much have to. And I'm kind of leaning more towards Witch Doctor because I think he's a bit of a stronger laning support, but either one works. Like, they could put the Lion there, they could put the Witch Doctor there, it doesn't matter. And then your Shaker is going to be in a 1v1, and we're just looking at Nico Baby's hero for their last pick.
Yeah, we are indeed here for the side of Basically Unknown. Vega Squadron, of course, they've got that final ban. Who are they going to take away from the side of BU? I mean, what kind of carries are you looking to pick up against a team with I mean, you've got a lot of very tanky heroes, and I say a lot. You've got 4 strength heroes on the board so far for Vega.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to pick anything into these heroes. I mean, they're all so tanky, like Tiny, Beastmaster, Centaur. I mean, Wisp is a strength hero, but he's not like super tanky. Yeah, he's got 0 base armor. He's a ball, so it's not that impressive in terms of being able to eat damage. But I don't know, man. There's some options, but nothing melee seems that great against Centaur and Tiny. Like, I wouldn't want to pick anything like PL, like they did in the previous game, unless you want to try to delay the game for a very long time. Dusa would have been a really solid option.
I like the Dusa ban.
Yeah.
I mean, we see how good Nico's on it. They've got a lot of lockdown on the side of Basically Unknown and a lot of physical damage as well with the SF and the Witch Doctor. Having the Stone Gaze would have been fantastic. Also very nice, of course, when TinyIO looks for those relocate ganks where they go in behind you with the rest of the team at the front. If you pop the Stone Gaze in the middle of that, suddenly the side of Vega Squadron are being forced right away from each other. And for reasons such as these, they might have been thinking about the Medusa, but Nico Baby's quite a versatile position one. We see him play a lot of different heroes to a pretty high standard.
Yeah, he does play very well. I was very impressed that the other day, even though I would say that Nip probably misplayed a bit, that they managed to pull out those games where he had like only Midas and Brown Boots at like 20 minutes in, and they managed to win that game. So I was impressed at his ability to farm even under pressure. Man, Dusa really would have been nice, actually, if they could have got their hands on that. But they're taking their time here. This is those times when you wish that there was an option in Dota to be able to look at the hero pool that's remaining, because sometimes you don't think of stuff until you see it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the Void.
Okay,
I was going to say it. I was going to say
this
that.
is like...
I was going to say it. I really was.
It's not bad, but it feels very...
It's a Nico Baby hero.
Is it, though? I don't think I've seen him play it in this league.
I think we have when he had... Not in league play, before league play. We saw him pick it up with the Magnus when they did the old Empower jungling.
Oh, yeah, they probably did it like one game, but they were mostly picking...
literally one game. Yeah.
They were mostly picking Juggernaut back then, right?
They did win. Yes, I think they were opting for the Juggernaut, which we're not really seeing at all from many teams, really. I mean, what do you feel that's kind of changed, that's kind of pushed Jug so out of flavor?
Well, Quelling Blade not working on Roshan is one of them, and so is the Mask of Madness nerf. I mean, those are the big two.
Yeah.
Like, between those things, like Juggernaut at level 8 or 9 was able to just go solo Roshan without having to have much farm at all. Like, Phase, Aquila, Mask of Madness, Quelling, that's all you needed. Yeah. And that's like less, like 4,000 net worth or something like that. Maybe a little bit less. No, actually, I think it's about 4,000. So with that, you could kill Roshan at any point in time. Causes a lot of problems for the enemy team. You always have to make sure that your supports are around the pit at that given time. And plus, he has a very good late game scaling crit. The one problem that he would have in this game is against these very tanky heroes, Omni Slash is not as impressive as it would be normally. Like, you're going to have a lot harder of a time finding picks with just an Omni. You know, because Tiny has an enormous amount of HP because of his build. Centaur has one of the highest strength gains in Dota, period. Beastmaster is also very tanky, and now with the Bane, Vega looking at doing pretty well in the laning phase. I do like their draft.
It's some pretty terrifying lanes. I mean, you've got Mag on his Beastmaster, which on his own, he's going to be fine. The TinyIO situation in the mid lane, and now the safe lane center that's going to have the support of Bane and the setup from Bane as well. And if it is indeed going to be that off-lane Earthshaker as we expect, it's going to be a tricky lane for Relax.
Yeah, it's not gonna be fun, that's for sure. I think Basically Unknown are kind of relying heavily on Arise's performance this game until Stomanin gets up his Death Ward and the Lion gets Finger. Because until that happens, their damage outside of Sphere, even with a couple of ranged heroes, is not all that impressive. Like, you're hoping that Arise can land his raises, maybe get a nicely timed Requiem off in conjunction with the Chrono, and then try to fight based on that. I do think that late game, it's going to be tough for Vega to find like a perfect opening, but they do also have the utilization of the Beastmaster Hawk to grant them the vision that they're going to need. So I'm still kind of favoring Vega slightly, but it's a very close draft. I do like Basically Unknown's team much more this game than I did in game 1.
It is. I mean, Void's obviously going to have to be very careful with these Chronos in the fight because Vega, they've got both the Primal Roar and also the Bane with the Nightmare and the Fiend's Grip to be able to disable the Void from quite a way off. So he's got to be very aware of the whereabouts of those two heroes when he looks to fight towards the mid game.
Yeah, I was even expecting... I don't think Disruptor was banned, was it? I want to say...
No, I don't think it was. No, I don't think it was touched upon.
I was going to say Disruptor is really nice against any team with a Witch Doctor and any Blink Initiator as well, because you can just Storm on top of where you think the initiation is going to be, and then it's just there when the Void goes in or the Shaker goes in, and the Glimpse is 1800 range, guaranteed interrupt on Witch Doctor ward at all given times. And that's one of the big damage sources they're going to be looking at. So I thought maybe Vega would go for that. But Bane, fantastic in the laning phase. You can just dominate with a Nightmare. You can just level up 2 points into Enfeeble, and whatever carry is going to be trying to farm, he's going to be having a crap time.
He is indeed, and let's see what comes out from both of these sides as we get ourselves into the second game of this series here. The ASUS ROG DreamLeague Season 3 between Basically Unknown and Vega here in this league play section of the tournament. On the side of Basically Unknown, we're going to be seeing a Rise, of course, on his Shadow Fiend, Stomanin on the Witch Doctor. Nico Baby on that position 1 Void. Relax will be on the solo lane Shaker, and that finally leaves Pure Evil playing on his support line. I'm OD Pixel, I'm here with Draskell, and what are we seeing from the Radiant?
Well, first here, team captain Seema is going to be playing Bane. And 9 Pasha is going to be handling the Centaur. Towards middle lane, we're going to have no one playing on Tiny. He'll be supported by the solo Wisp. And then Mag on a hero that we so often see him on with the Beastmaster.
We'll see bottom lane basically, and then looking to catch someone out here in the Radiant jungle. They've got down the Dire Ward, but both 9 Pasha and of course the Bane playing fairly safely. Maybe they catch up Pasha. Ooh, very close, but they can't quite find the jump onto the Centaur, and he's going to be okay. Both sides just backing off, returning to their respective lanes now.
Now looking at the way lanes are going to shape up, I feel middle lane might be a tiny bit hard for Vega. As Shadow Fiend gets some souls, he has a support kind of sticking around. It's dual range versus a tiny IO. Between the two of them, they don't even have a single base armor. Like, they just take a lot of damage from right clicks. But the Wisp managing to secure the top rune, that means he will be able to get his bottle immediately. And I think the sustain on middle lane is kind of what you're looking for when you have the Wisp. You'll be able to spam toss. You get to like level 2 or 3. You might be able to go for a kill if you get a good avalanche into toss and a tether. But pause up here from basically unknown. Looks like everything is a-okay. Maybe just a small peripheral issue. And he said go, but basically unknown. There we go. Yeah.
There's the guy. And well, it's kind of interrupt the block from both sides, but looks like basically unknown do get the better deal than. And as you were saying at the start, they do send the Witch Doctor mid to start off, just to help out the Shadow Fiend get his early stacks with the Necromastery.
He's great in lane. Witch Doctor 56 base damage, and even though he has 0 armor, Wisp hits for almost 10 less than him, which is a pretty substantial amount at level 1. And Tiny is going to be having a hell of a time. So as long as Arise gets a handful of souls out of this, it's more than worth it to make sure that he's here and he's getting that farm, because the levels on Shadow Fiend will come eventually. And then once you get level 7, you can flash farm like a beast. It's not too bad to be a little bit under-leveled as long as you're getting the souls.
Okay, and that's indeed out the mid lane, and no one taking a lot of harassment there. Getting himself fairly low with the bounces as well. Look at this. I mean, Tiny has to be careful. I will be able to heal him straight back up, but we're already seeing the power of this SF Witch Doctor dual lane combination in the mid lane, securing Arise the stronger early stage in the lane. Top lane, Mag, how's he doing? He's finding the levels. He's been able to harass back the line here with the boar. And as we can expect, we're going to expect to see Mag have a pretty solid performance as always on his Beastmaster. On the bottom lane, the CS for the Centaur Warrunner. So it's 3 for 1 at the moment. Earthshaker actually keeping on par, so yes, managed to find a little bit now, but with level 2 coming around the corner for both of these heroes on the side of Vega, it is going to get to the point where Earthshaker's going to have a very hard time getting close to the creep wave.
As long as he stays at a high amount of health, I don't think that Vega will necessarily be able to kill him, but they might be able to send him back to base. Like, use most of his regen, make him go home. But other than that, he should be able to get a decent amount out of this lane, and Vega, on point with the rune control here, going to be able to secure both top and bottom rune. So the Shaker just prioritizing getting experience, I guess, over anything else, and that's a free bounty rune for Seema.
Yes, indeed, there will be no spike onto Mag, and starts to mana drain him. That's cancelled straight away.
Oh, it rip.
There's your first blood.
That was actually, we didn't catch it on camera, but he threw the Wisp in to try to tether Arise, maybe not realizing that Stomano was still in the area, and he just killed his Wisp. Like, just straight up killed him.
Oh,
Courier.
Gotta be careful where you pop your balls. Just back himself up there.
Well, early game, basically unknown, doing much, much better, I think, in contrast to what was going to be happening in game 1, just because, again, Vega were running a death ball, and this game, yeah, you can kind of death ball with Vega's lineup, but it's not quite as strong. You don't have the Chen creeps to tank up for you. I think their lineup is more fighting oriented than it was, but it's not like basically unknown can't also fight. As long as Nico manages to get that level 6 going, and you also have your death ward up on the Witch Doctor, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and bottom lane, how are we seeing the progression go for this Earthshaker? Because he's still managing to find XP. What level are we seeing relax at the moment? Yeah, it's halfway through level 3. So as you said, still finding the levels here, which is, I mean, arguably all you need to start off on an Earthshaker. Yeah, it's nice to find that blink, but if you're able to find that Echo Slam and you've got heroes on your side, such as the Void, such as heroes with a lot of heavy disable like the Lion and the Witch Doctor, who are going to be able to give you that time to walk into position, it's all they're really looking for at the moment on the Earthshaker.
Yeah, it's just a disruptive hero. Like, being able to stop a follow-up from a roar or, you know, just anything to disjoint the team fight is pretty much all you need. And if they want to delay the game, that's fine, because Void in late game is fantastic against Wisp Tiny, because you can just drop a sphere over where the relocate is, and then you got your team fight right off of that.
Now, Mag getting close and personal with Pure Evil, but Nico Baby zooms straight and gets the slow onto Mag. They're trying to go for this one.
Bash! Bash!
2 points in Bash isn't enough, Andy.
Apparently not. I think if Pure Evil had a little bit more mana there, they might have gone for the kill. And he even opted to go for the 1-1-1 build, so he doesn't have 2 points into Earthspike. Gonna see a cask here middle lane.
The bounce is very nice. Won't be quite enough as Solo does come in and is able to bottle him back up. There'll be a toss forward for the creep. Our range creep goes in and offers himself up here to Arise. No one going down still. I'm 4.5 minutes in, just 1 kill on the board here for Unknown. Fairly passive laning stage here overall, and both sides pretty much finding what they wanted to when they were heading out to lanes.
I think it's going to be a little bit longer before the Tiny and the Wisp start to be able to really go for anything. Top lane, Mag getting chased down.
Could be in a bit of trouble. He's going to get hexed up. Are they going to find any bashes when they bring him down? It looks like he'll die anyway, but
not a single bash.
What's some of these bashes?
He is the opposite of RNGesus. Like, I don't know what he did to offend the gods, but apparently they are not with him right now. Fortunately for him, it didn't matter. So F Mag was actually very far out of position, ends up dying anyway. So basically Unknown actually off to a very, very solid start here in game number 2.
I guess the thing they've got to be most aware and potentially worried about is the fact that 9 Pasha's farm's been pretty great. He's coming up to 1,400 gold. He's going to have a very quick timing on the Blink Dagger.
Yeah, but yeah, the Blink Dagger being fast is nice, and Relax has no mana.
I think
oh, the Stomp is down, he's dead. No, he missed.
Arise has rotated in, and they bring him down. There'll be a Nightmare onto Arise, but it's a little too late because they've already lost the Centaur, and nice kill for them to get there. In fact, if we have a look at the Centaur, how much gold did he lose there? He was on about 1,400, and yeah, he's lost a good 200 gold from that kill, so a very nice rotation from Arise.
Yeah, the unfortunate part about that, it was a clever bait from the Shaker. Like, he walks up to the creep wave with no mana, and any player worth their salt will click on the enemy hero and see he doesn't have mana to stun. He's like, oh yeah, I'll just stun, do some harass, maybe send him home, and then they bait out the stun, Arise gets a free raise and a couple of auto attacks, and they secure a kill. So very, very nice. Continuing to get a little bit farther ahead. Now, keep in mind, the game hasn't really started until you start seeing relocates and Stampede and Roar. Like, those are the big abilities for Vega that have to come online. And then we're going to start seeing their lineup kind of come to its fruition. But until then, I think basically Unknown are quite happy.
I mean, if he gets to the latter portions of the games, the ganking potential from Vega's going to be pretty terrifying. As you said, with the relocate, and if they get the Aghanims on the Centaur, that Beastmaster Hawk is going to set up some very nice little cliff jumps.
It is very terrifying to play up against a Wisp Tiny during a late game, because not only can it just be a team fight that breaks out with the Hawk Vision, but it can just be a straight up backdoor. Top lane, Nico, not quite level 6. He needs 4 or 5 experience, but Mag.
Where's the bashes? Where's the bashes?
He really just does not. Is he going to die to boars? He might die to boars.
One of the boars has already gone down.
Never mind.
Yeah,
He's
Nico
fine.
Baby's got his back. Is that 3 points in the bash now, Nico Baby? No, still just 2. He's maxed out the time walk. Okay.
Shaker solo killing the Centaur in bottom lane. Okay.
Echo Slam.
Yeah, gets a point into Echo. Kills the Centaur. I gotta say, man, basically Unknown. Their lanes
looking good.
They're winning all of them right now.
Radiant's bottom tower is
it's I mean it's definitely not over for Vega because they've got that tiny IO,
right.
And it doesn't. As long as you can get that level 6 on the IO and you can find the relocates, suddenly the laning disadvantage doesn't end up mattering as much as it would have against other mid laners.
Yeah, I do think that Vega have very good comeback potential with these heroes. Like, this lineup in general functions a lot around fighting. So sure, the laning phase going bad for you isn't great, but you have a lot of ways to play around your mid game, and I think the Stampede even being available is one nice thing that Vega are going to have going for them. The Wisp, he's like around halfway to level 6 right now, just soaking up some experience in the jungle with the Tiny. And as soon as the relocate's available, they can look to kill supports. They can relocate on the Shaker, knowing that the Echo is down at least for a little while longer. There's going to be a lot they can do.
Yeah, indeed, you just said Solo just hanging around here with no one, and that is your level 6 now. They've got the relocate. They can start to look for a bit of action. They've sent Bane to the mid lane to get him some XP in top lane. There's going to be the Chronosphere being dropped here on Mag as Nico Baby really looking for those bashes. I think he only just found one there. And now with the Stampede, they're looking to turn it around, and Void, he's gone in a little bit too deep. They do bring him down there. And RNG is not on Nico Baby's side today.
No, I mean, that was very aggressive. Now, he might have assumed that the Wisp wasn't going to be level 6 when he went in, because it's only 8.5 minutes. But around 10 minutes, most Wisp players, if they're getting good experience, will be level 6. Yeah. It's just like a timing thing that maybe he didn't realize at that point in the game, that it was possible for Solo to have that much experience. So getting that counter kill, Vega are now on the board. The Tiny's still highest in terms of overall CS in the game. He's got his drums and his treads, so he's got 1400 HP, which is why it's so important to have Finger and Death Ward available, which basically Unknown now do. As long as they have their sphere up, their team fight is, I would say, even on par with Vega's.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's a fact. It is a fact indeed. It's just down to the execution of both sides, whether basically Unknown can find those positions to get those wombo combos down and into the faces of the heroes of Vega. And for the moment being, towards the mid lane, Arise does have a DD. Bane will keep himself, Frosty heads himself back. How's Bane doing on the road to level 6 himself? He's halfway through level 5, so he'll have that Fiend's Grip online fairly shortly. And obviously with the Fiend's Grip and Nightmare, the potential once more on the side of Vega to set up a lot of relocate ganks.
Yeah, I really do think that Vega, they're going to be the ones looking to play maybe a bit more aggressive. I thought no one could go Blink this game, but he might be opting for the more farm-oriented build. Like during the late game, Tiny is one of the scariest late game heroes, especially when partnered with a Wisp because of overcharge, reducing damage, increasing your attack speed. You have a great mobility. You have good split push potential as well. There's just so many things you can do with this combination. And he's going to go, I think, more for the I want to carry more than I want to try to just non-stop gank, which both methods you can still relocate. Like it doesn't make you any weaker on the relocate, except you might not be able to catch out the hero that you want immediately by not having that gap closer in the blink. But still, game kind of slow right now. Not that many kills considering it's around 11 minutes in. Both teams kind of just looking for their core items and levels.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is as well, looking at the hero drafts for both sides, with Vega, you know, they'd be able to find solo pickoffs, well, dual pickoffs with the Tiny IO combination. Basically Unknown, the Void, it's going to be a long time before the Void finds himself in a position where he can straight up chrono heroes like the Centaur and Tiny and kill them, because they're always just going to be so tanky. There will be a Stampede here on the bottom lane. Nine Pasha trying to get himself in and picks up the Blink Dagger from the side shot very nicely. But there isn't a follow-up, and he'll actually get relocated out of here.
The toss.
The toss is real.
From downtown.
Tiny finds himself lying here. Nine Passion Solo did get relocated back to base. It was a nice little cheeky Blink pickup, but only a solo kill on, maybe more now. Relax getting caught out by everything. Echo Slam does come out, but it doesn't do a lot. That's a double kill for Tiny.
He did see the relocate, right? Mag even gets a kill on top lane. Faceless Void dropping as well. That was also using up the Fiend's Grip and the Roar. All of a sudden, Vega just finding kills all over the map.
I think this is Vega coming online, Andy.
Oh yeah, well we talked about how important their ultimates were, and now Arise also going to get caught here in middle. Okay, they cancel the TPs.
Because bottom lane, Io's going to get fingered. They bring him down now with the Earth Spike onto Tiny. He'll just turn with the Avalanche and toss onto the Witch Doctor, then he's going to bring him down. He gets hexed up, but he's just going to walk it off. And this is a scary amount of action favoring the side of Tiny. He's got 4 kills now.
He's pretty much been all of his team's kills.
Yeah.
Like he got the one toss kill on bottom. He just got another cleanup kill on the Witch Doctor. These heroes like Shaker, the Lion, the Witch Doctor, the Shadow Fiend. Now, granted, Arise has mech, so maybe he's not as easy to kill. But a lot of them kind of just die to Tiny from a stun toss, and that's why I thought that he might opt to go for Blink. But he's going to be delaying it, if not completely foregoing it in the favor of just going for the Aghanims instead. Now, it is kind of important for basically Unknown that their Shaker is farming very well, considering his lane. Like, he's got 1,200 gold to his name right now. He's making his way towards Blink. If that happens, and they get a good Chronosphere up, and the Mask of Madness Void comes online, which I think he just got enough gold for right now, there's a lot of things that will be going well for basically Unknown in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, indeed. And Nico Baby, as you said, he's finding the farm. 78 CS coming up to 13 minutes in. He's catching up in terms of net worth, but still, there's a little bit of a gap between himself, the Tiny, and the SF, as both Arise and No One having pretty good games so far. Arise has been finding a lot from the jungle, has of course got the mech on top of his treads, and now working up to 1k gold. On this SF himself, up against a lineup with heroes such as that on Vega, would you expect to see the straight up BKB from Arise?
Yeah, I think BKB is the safest option. There's just way too much magical damage and stun to not have it. I've also seen people in this situation go for something like Shadowblade or SNY. Like Shadowblade is a different style of play. You just put yourself in a position where they can't initiate on you. instead of using it as a method to run away. You just make sure that you always have good positioning in a team fight. So either I think is fine. He's picked up the Ogre Club, so he is opting to go for the BKB here. And in the meantime, Tiny is going to be making his way towards an Aghanims as he now has a point booster.
Point booster and Ogre Club only just under 1,500 gold away from finishing it off. Top lane, Seam of the Slayer positioning himself in the tree line here, waiting to see if basically Unknown do decide to push. Mid lane, no one on solo, just holding their positioning, and Nine Pasha continues to farm here on top of the Blink Dagger, and pretty much undisrupted. Both sides, again, they've kind of calmed down a little bit after that few minutes of action, and both just focusing on picking up the farm game.
Well, both teams do very well with farm. Like you have Wisp, Tiny, farming Centaur, a Beastmaster on Vega, and then you have Shadow Fiend, Witch Doctor, and 2 Blink Initiators on basically Unknown. So both teams do a ton with the items that they can get. It's just a matter of who takes the better engagements. And 14 minutes in, now book 1 completed on Mag when he's playing the Beastmaster here. So only around 2,500 gold away from finishing up that book 3. And we've often seen this timing. And once he gets that book 3, it just seems like the team fights go so well for Vega.
Shaker needs to be careful here. Seam of the Slayer looking for a potential wraparound here to catch off the ES, but he's not going to find it for the time being as Relax does back himself off.
And they know that he placed the ward, though. I'm fairly certain. So he knows that the Bane is kind of standing in the vicinity.
Tiny just clearing up the jungle. Now less than 900 gold away from that completed Aghanim Scepter. And the side of Vega just getting the push off. Nine Pasha clearing out the creep wave here. And Relax staying well and truly hidden here in the tree line, thinking about throwing out a Fissure. But now Tiny and I have turned up. I don't think he wants to ruffle these feathers, so he's going to throw it out anyway and back himself off. Has now got the TP backup of Witch Doctor. And the side of Unknown, maybe thinking about a wraparound here. They've also sent Nico Baby down as well. He's at the bottom rune spot at the moment on this Void and does indeed have this Chronosphere. They've got everyone apart from Arise here, and they're smoked up as well, looking to see if they can make a jump. They've got the Chronosphere, they've got the Echo Slam, they've got the Finger, and they've got the Death Ward. They've got everything they need to kill one of the heroes on side of Vega, and maybe more if they can find the perfect jump. But it's quite a few ifs, quite a big if. And it doesn't look like Basic Unknown will find the jump that they're looking for with that rotation for the time being.
It's a very tense game for both teams. It's very, very close as well. Like 1 or 2 good team fights can completely crack the game open. There's only been 2 towers have dropped in the entire game. Safe lane for basically Unknown and middle tier 1 for Vega. So this is like, this is the make or break, I think, for the teams. Like, can you get to your core items? Can you get the Shadow Fiend BKB? Can you get Nico his next like item progression, whether it be BKB or whether it be like a Maelstrom or something like that? Your Shaker has his Blink Dagger now completed, so that's fantastic for basically Unknown. It's just going to be very tense moving around the map, trying to get your core items, and then one team fight's going to break out, and we'll have a pretty clear picture of who's going to be winning this game, I think.
Blink Dagger is now picked up on your Earthshaker, so we were talking about how well Relax plays in these team fights on the Earthshaker once he's got his Blink, and now that's happened. We'll see what he's able to achieve. Pasha, he's found himself Arise. Arise has got some backup coming in. Stamanen is there. Relax as well, and there's your Echo Slam. But he's just not enough. Arise with the Death Ward from Stamanen, actually. They do bring down Tiny. And they might find Nine Pasha here as well. So the Echo Slam, even though the damage with the stun, and they're holding them in place with the passive, he's actually maxed out the Aftershock as well. Enables them to find 2 kills. He looks for a Fissure, isn't going to find it, but basically, they're going to be very happy with that. They killed the Tiny IO, and no one dropping on their own side.
That was a huge pick off. The Cask was bouncing between them enough to the point where they couldn't stop the Requiem from going off. And even as tanky as the Tiny is, I think he has close to 2,000 HP on Strength Tread. Sphere.
Oh, he pops it down after the Nightmare. A bit of an oh-no Sphere there.
Unfortunate.
He's still going to go for it.
Yeah, he's actually 10 mana short of being able to Fiend Script. Can he actually bait this out long enough? That's the question.
Oh, Fiend Script, it does it!
Lethal damage from the orb.
Io's back up in a second, has to relocate now. Where's your Io? In he comes, can they kill Nico? Maybe they can't. Well, they will do, but not in time to save the Bane.
God.
That was so close to being incredibly clutch. I mean, the Fiend Script in itself was a...
Oh, see you later.
Nice TP, mate. Double kill for no one off the back of that one. And well, Relax. Look to see if we can find Mag. He won't quite find it.
I mean, the tier 2 safe lane does get denied, but the fact is Mag actually pressured enough to kill that tower on his own. So in the time that they ended up losing a couple of heroes in the woods, they get some counter kills, they get a tier 2 safe lane. Like, sure, the tower gets denied, but that isn't even, like, that's not that big of a deal. You want your tier 3s available to be hit if you have a Wisp Tiny, the earliest possible point, especially when your Tiny already has Aghanims, because the more you chip away at the base, the more potential you're going to have for some backdooring later on. So very nice that Vega managed to get that tier 2 down so early.
Witch Doctor doing a bit well on the old financial front. He's got a point boost at Ogre Club and closing in on his penultimate component of the Aghanim Scepter. So that's going to be something else that the side of Vega are going to have to be very aware of in these fights. And with the kind of setups such as the Cast, the Chronosphere, and the Echo Slam, it's, I don't know, taking a direct team fight against basically Unknown is going to be tricky. I guess they are very tanky. They do have the Tiny Eye in the center. They've got a lot of lockdown themselves, but if basically Unknown are able to get the jump in, it's going to be very hard for Vega to turn the fight around, I kind of feel at this point.
They kind of want the Void to be able to solo the Wisp at the very least, because that way you can go into the fight, you can sphere the Tiny IO, and you can kill the relocate potential coming out from the Tiny, and then Shadow Fiend's damage reduction from Requiem can put the Tiny in a place where all of a sudden he's like not that threatening for the engagement. So that's really nice. But if the sphere isn't there and there's no good echo, I really think that Vega will just take the team fight easily. Now, that's a lot of ifs and buts, because not being able to land a good echo or a sphere is pretty unlikely. You're either going to get one or the other, given the lineup that they have out. But still, very, very close game. I think maybe one of the closest games we've seen in League play so far.
It certainly feels like it at the moment. Basically known with the powerhouses that they are with the Shadow Fiend and the Faceless Void at the moment, farming it very well. But at the same time, Vega, they've got that Tiny, and no one is having a great game so far. 6 for 1 on the Tiny. And Aghanims and Drums in tow. And what's he got coming out to him on the Courier? Anything big for the Tiny on top of the Ags?
Yasha.
It's the ASUS, so every little helps. And this guy is certainly going to be punching at this stage of the game with the backup of Ion. He's got a tasty amount of Ancients here to clean up as well.
Yeah, he's getting out of control in terms of his overall farm. The thing with Tiny is that he's actually great against Void, because the Void can never focus him inside of the sphere due to Craggy. And he's going to be 14 soon, which means that Craggy is going to be maxed out. He's going to have 2100 health. He still has 11 armor, which isn't a ton, but it's enough. And the more points in a Craggy obviously give him the bonus armor on top of that. So I do think the Void's going to have a really rough time until he finishes up his BKB. He's only around 1500 away from that right now, but he's going to lack damage. He's still relying heavily on a Rise, on the Death Ward, and on the Lion to be able to supplement his DPS during a Chronosphere.
Talking about the Lion, he's sitting on 1900 gold at the moment as well, so he's going to be very close to his Blink Dagger also. So the initiation
they never dewarded
really
this high ground ward. Vega know exactly what's going on. They pinged it earlier. I know Relax saw the Bane walk into the woods, but I guess maybe they didn't assume that he dropped a ward down there. But this vision keeps Vega safe for the time being.
Pure evil. Went out a little bit too far there. Gets caught out with the old brain sap. Who stomped double edge?
Splat.
Indeed, and Nico Baby. He's going to find an avalanche to the face and a toss as well. The TP's coming out in full force. Nico Baby does get low, has got the mech as well to keep him safe from a Rise. He pops that one. But it's, as you said, it's a very tense game. We're 22 minutes in. We haven't seen a lot of kills, 8 for 9 at the moment between the sides, but it still feels like we're going to hit this point when the fight is just going to kick off, and then the ball will really start rolling for whichever side comes out top.
It might just end up being either Roshan or the high ground defense from basically Unknown. I think Vega have the advantage in push, and by think, I mean they definitely do. They have book 3 on Beastmaster. Hey, it's 20 minutes in. Mag has his book 3. That's the de facto timing on him. And if they just get the offlane tier 2, all of a sudden it's very easy for Vega to go Roche. I mean, it's getting kind of scary for basically Unknown. They've been playing passive for a very long time, and the Void still needs his BKB before he feels very safe, just going in and throwing out a Chrono to try to get damage out. And yeah, the timing of the Witch Doctor Aghanims is still going to be very quick. He's got level 2 Death Ward now. He's very close to Aghanims. He needs 240 gold. Once he gets that, their teamfight potential is fully online. They cannot wait any longer. They need to start trying to get some kind of control over the game.
I mean, with the lineups they've got, who is in a more comfortable position to
Vega, for sure.
Start going for Roche?
Vega, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now, basically Unknown have great AoE heroes. It's not to say that they can't contest. I just feel Vega have a nice way of playing it because they can just have the Wisp and a Tiny off map all the time. And if basically Unknown even poke their nose into Roshan, there's always the possibility of a relocate gank. And if your sphere is not on point, I think that fight is just lost. Like, it's very hard to come back from a bad sphere in this situation. The Void doesn't have enough to stand on his own 2 feet. He still needs a lot of outside help to actually get kills.
And I think a thing worth noting as well is obviously Vega, the Centaur Warren at the moment, he's got an Ogre Club. If he does end up going for that Aghanims, in these team fights where someone like the Void goes in with a Chronosphere, if he doesn't catch the Centaurs, just pop the Stampede, and then that damage reduction is going to mean that basically Unknown literally can't do anything during that Chrono's duration.
Yeah, the damage reduction from... Oh, nice BKB from Arise. That reaction time. Good lord. That was very quick.
Well, TP's coming out as well. I mean, it doesn't look like they'll be quite able to chase anything down off the back of this one, because Vega realized they need to get themselves out of there.
Yeah, it's not too bad. The Tiny is backtracking now for BKB. He'll actually have it probably before the Void has his. And this is another thing, too, that's kind of concerning, is since Vega are controlling the entire map, it leaves no one in solo to kind of sit off map, farm the entire woods. He has Aghanims, so his farming rate is just naturally higher than the Void's. The Void has no farming items except for Mask of Madness. He doesn't have a Maelstrom, he doesn't have Battle Fury. He's just attacking creeps one by one. So you're going to fall behind. There's a smoke up here from Vega. Looks like they want to make the first move into the Roshan pit. And I don't think basically Unknown have any clue that this is going on. Like, they do have one ward and D ward on the cliff, but it doesn't see into the pit.
Yep, it's going to go down, and it is going to go the way of Vega. Basically known all of the moment on the top lane. And they're going to let that Aegis, of course, go to no one here on the Tiny. And now with this, now with the blink available for Mac on the Beastmaster, it's go time for Vega.
Yeah, it's still possible for basically Unknown to defend high ground. Their item timings are actually in very good sync with Vega getting Roshan. That sounds silly, but they have 10-second BKB now on Void. They have Aghanims on Witch Doctor. They have Blink Shaker. They have BKB and Mech on Arise. They have methods of fighting. It's just that they cannot let the game continue going this way because they will eventually lose too much control and get out-farmed.
Nico Baby will deep into the tower here. Vega don't seem to want to go for that Void. Maybe a little bit wary of the potential of it being a bait, but they just let Nico Baby be there in what kind of seemed like a very aggressive TP.
Yeah, they don't have any vision behind the tower, so it could have been his team sitting behind him. The Lion was off map, so was Arise and the Shaker. There's a lot of things that could have gone down if Vega actually opted to go for that. In reality, they probably would have killed him, but it's safer to play around not seeing anyone than it is to assume they're not there, if that makes sense.
Indeed, and back to the farm game it is. Mag on the top lane, no one into the jungle. It's, I mean, with this kind of passive farming that keeps reoccurring in this game, who do you feel it's kind of favoring more between the sides?
Vega. When you have map control, yeah. It's like, if you look at the way that basically Unknown position, they haven't really been looking for kills that much until now. Like, they've smoked up. They're going to try to go for Mag, and they should find him. Oh, no, the Echo missed.
Oh, they do still get the... It was a zoning Echo, Andy.
Yeah, zoning Echo.
Yeah.
Farming creep Echo. I think he overestimated the distance of his blink, and to be fair, I'm not even sure if he needed to echo there in the first place.
It was a battle cry.
He could have just fissured. Like, did he need to echo
that?
Yeah,
but it looked flashier. Yeah.
I mean, I guess so.
Well, they're going to look for this tier 1 here. The fortification will come out. At the same time, though, Vega, they're pressuring the tier 2 in the mid lane. They will find it here with the slaps of Tiny.
I think basically Unknown have kind of fallen into this trap of trying to out-farm a Wisp Tiny team. It's very hard to do. Relocate bottom.
No, can they find anyone here? There's going to be a Chronosphere potential. It does catch out the Tiny, but
Craggy.
It's not doing a lot. Even with the Death Ward, no one, he's just totally unfazed by it. He's still at half health. It'll get relocated back out. And, I mean, that's the thing. You really can't Chrono the Tiny because you're not going to kill him.
He got Craggy twice in a row, and then BKB'd. And then by that point, he got thrown out of the sphere because he was the only one standing there. Well, not thrown out, but like after the sphere ended, he got thrown back. So, yeah, it's kind of a problem because they've just let Vega free farm for too long. Like, farming a Void into Shadow Fiend sounds nice on paper, but the rate at which the Tiny farms is always going to outscale you. And they have global presence in being able to relocate anywhere. This is why we see Wisp banned so often, because this combo is very hard to play into. You need to actually fight it at some point. You can't just let it do whatever it wants, because then you're going to have this scenario where all your outer tier towers are dead. You've lost Roshan because you lost all your outer tier towers. And now you just feel this inability to take a real engagement unless they're pushing high ground. And what that means is Vega don't ever really have to push the high ground until they feel completely safe in doing so, because they're the ones who have map control.
Well, let's see if Vega decide to go for it here. They're coming through on the mid lane. Looking into the jungle as well here. They're trying to find someone. They've found Staman, and Witch Doctor in a bit of trouble. There's going to be the Protective Fissure coming out from Relax, and that's going to be enough to hold Tiny back here. Raw onto the Lion here. They do want to continue fighting. A Lion just gets melted. Even with the mech from Arise, is not enough to protect the Lion against the amount of damage coming out from Vega here. As one hero down on the side of base, and this could be a good time for Vega to go.
Well, I think that's going to be the go-ahead. They do have Echo Slam available. Sphere's up in 10 seconds from basically unknown.
Look at these structures,
but
man.
Going for Tiny first is impossible. They have to find another target.
He just doesn't care. He just stands there, he takes it. Nico Baby will come in, pops the BKB, will find Solo, but even Solo himself is fairly tanky. Can he even kill the IO here? No, he can't with the Fiend's Grip holding him back. The casters bounce over to Solo, but Solo's still alive. They've lost the Void on the side of base, and then the Death Void is now doing quite a lot of work here with the Aghanims, with the bounces. Relax will find the fish onto Tiny, but Tiny's got that Aegis. He's back for round 2, and here goes round 2. Avalanche comes out, catches out the line, but Lion still gets the Hex. Couldn't they kill Tiny? And whoa. That was a little bit of a force staff, a little bit of a jump there from Tiny as he moves himself out, and now he's ready to move himself back in. Solo's returned here with the IO. They've found the Lion. They're looking for more. They're trying to find a Rise and Relax. No one goes in close. The Fisher will be very nicely placed, but they toss forward the range creep. 9 Pashes there with a blink forward, and so's Mag. There'll be a paralyzing cast coming out, bouncing onto a Mag, but Mag turns around with the Roar onto a Rise. Voodoo Restoration doing a little bit, but it's not enough to nullify the damage being done by this Tiny. No one now in a dominating streak, and now he just turns his attention to the bottom lane. They've already cleared out the mid lane racks. They're going to look for a second lane here. A Rise does have buyback. Shtamanum throws out the cast, but blink forward from Pasha with the Who Stop double edge, and now the toss. It's a double kill for no one as he finishes off the Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor will buy back. They did lose the center on the side of Vega, but he has a buyback available if he wants to return to this. But already, Vega clearing out 2 sets of racks, and this is why you've got to be scared of letting a team get Tiny IO.
Well, they just played so passive. I mean, we're going to see a first hit bash. Finally, some RNG coming out from Nico Baby, but it's not going to be enough to actually get a kill.
And meanwhile, top lane, they're losing a tier 3. Their final tier 3. Can they kill this Tiny? They found the Hex, they found the Spike, they start to suck the mana drain from him, and now with the Death Ward laid down, Finker as well, but he just turns around and goes for it. You can't kill this Tiny. If you let this Tiny get this much farm, you're just kind of signing your own death certificate, because this is it. This is double kill for no one. They're on to the final sets of racks. This is going to be Mega Creeps favoring the side of Vega, basically unknown. What do they do at this point, Andy?
I think they're about to tap out, is what I think they're doing. It's kind of unfortunate, because you saw that teamfight potential coming out from them. We're just going to see a little bit of clowny well diving here from Vega. And there's the GG. So when they were fighting mid, okay, they go and they sphere. The Void has so little damage that he couldn't even kill the Wisp. Now imagine if Solo had died there, because until that point he hadn't used Relocate. So when he relocated, he actually saved another hero on the team and brought Mag back later on into the fight. So Solo dies, there's no retreat relocate. That was an Aegis fight that they could have potentially defended, but because the Wisp lived, they ended up getting raxed. They could have delayed the game a little bit longer. Maybe the Void gets 1 damage item, and then they can take the fight. But the thing is, they actually played way too passive. Like, you need to eventually pressure the enemy team. You can't just play AFK farm the whole time.
No,
like that's not winning Dota. Like, sure, you got a Void and an SF, that's great, but Vega controlled the map for a very long period of time. And when the enemy has map control over you, they will always outfarm you, and you're never going to be able to fight into it. Now, the mid-fight showed the potential of basically Unknown's lineup. It could win, but they just waited too long. Like, they gave up so much. They gave up all their towers. They gave up Roshan. Like, they never contended Vega to do anything. And you lose when you do that, so unfortunate, because I really thought their draft could win.
Yeah, and indeed they did lose. 2-0 it goes, favouring Vega again, continuingly to, well, looking very strong at the moment in league play. We'll have a look at the standings, I'm sure, as we passed over to the host, but it's going to be looking good for Vega. They must be in at least the top half of the board now after these victories. I think
they're like 5-4 or 5-3, something like that.
Something like that.
No, it has to be 5-3 because it has to be an even number because it just finished another series.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true. Good maths there, Andy. Yeah. They've of course got another series. We've got the second series of today, which is going to be Vega again, playing up against NIP, who have been going through a bit of a rough patch. So potentially a couple of healthy games coming up for Vega as well.
I think Vega are actually the favored, at least in my opinion. I think we both said 2-0 for Vega in both series today.
Series, yeah.
Caster's Curse, that means they're going to go 0-2. No big deal. I hope not, because I really like watching Vega.
Yes, their playstyle is great, and they've been very versatile as well. We've seen them pick up a lot of different heroes in these series. It's not like, oh, it's Vega, they're going to go for the same thing. They have a very kind of similar kind of playstyle, but in terms of heroes that they want to pick up, they're very versatile, and it's great fun to watch. Hopefully you guys at home are enjoying the games as well. And myself and Draskell will have some more coming up later on, but for the time being, we're going to head you over to some commercials and then back over to our panel to give you some insight and analysis on the game. We'll see you guys later.